You become what you're around. Not sometimes, every time. If you surround yourself with people who complain, play small, and settle for less, you will slowly start lowering your own standards. Not because you're weak, but because environment is stronger than willpower. But the moment you step into a room where people talk about goals instead of gossip, where they talk about growth instead of excuses, where they challenge you instead of comforting your limitations, everything in your life begins to shift. Your energy rises, your vision expands, and so your identity upgrades. Because success is contagious, and so is mediocrity. Think about it. One conversation can give you a new strategy. One mentor can unlock a new belief. One supportive friend can remind you of who you really are when you forget. You don't need everyone. You just need the right ones. The right people make you think bigger. They remind you of your potential. They demand the best version of you, not the comfortable version of you. If you want a new life, don't just change your goals. Change your circle. Because when your environment elevates you, your decisions change. When your decisions change, your actions change. And when your actions change, your entire destiny shifts. Proximity is not only power, it's the bridge between who you are and who you are capable of becoming. Your identity is not formed in isolation. It is sculpted by the energy, beliefs, and behaviors of the people you spend the most time with. Humans are wired to adapt, to belong, and to mirror the tribe around them. If the people in your circle think small, operate from fear, or settle for average, your mind starts absorbing that as a normal. Not because you consciously choose it, but because repetition becomes reality. You start lowering your standards without even noticing it, adopting the mindset of the group simply to stay aligned with your environment. Every moment you spend around someone, you are absorbing their emotional patterns. Their language, their habits, their expectations, they all influence you at a subconscious level. If you're surrounded by those who constantly talk about problems, you begin to look for problems. If you're surrounded by people who blame, you start to feel justified in your own excuses. The environment gives you permission to shrink or permission to rise, depending on the level of thinking it reinforces. Your identity evolves in the direction of what is consistently around you. But when you place yourself in a circle where growth is the standard, where goals are normal conversation, and where discipline is admired, everything inside you starts to elevate. You feel pulled forward instead of dragged down. Your mind begins to stretch and consider what's possible instead of what's comfortable. You start acting like someone who expects more from life. Not because you forced yourself, but because the environment made it natural. Your identity shifts simply by being immersed in a higher level of thinking, proving that the quality of your circle determines the quality of your future. Success is not just an individual pursuit. It's an environment, a frequency, a standard that becomes contagious the moment you're exposed to it consistently. When you spend time with people who are committed, disciplined, and driven, you naturally begin to adopt their rhythms. Their ambition starts to feel normal. Their hunger becomes familiar. Their habits and routines, which once seemed extreme or out of reach, begin to look like the baseline for what's required. You rise because you're surrounded by people who refuse to operate below their potential, and their energy rubs off on you in ways you don't even notice at first. Association has a powerful psychological effect. When you're in a room where people are achieving, taking risks, and pushing boundaries, your mind starts recalibrating what's possible for you. You begin to challenge your own excuses because no one around you is validating them. You question your own limitations because the people in your circle don't speak the language of limitation. Even casual conversations can spark new ideas, raise your expectations, or shift your belief in what you're capable of. Being around success forces your mind to expand because you're constantly exposed to examples of what effort, focus, and belief can create. And the truth is, you don't even have to be taught directly. You learn through proximity. You absorb the mindset. You pick up the discipline. You model the confidence. You start mirroring the level of intensity that others bring into their lives. The people around you act as a silent blueprint, shaping how you think, how you behave, and how you show up every day. Their consistency influences your consistency. Their results influence your faith. Their victories influence your drive. Success spreads because it creates a standard that demands you rise to it. And once you're exposed to that standard long enough, you can't go back to the version of yourself that played small. Sometimes all it takes is one person to shift the entire direction of your life. Not because they hand you success, but because they help you see something in yourself that you couldn't see before. A single mentor, coach, or friend can introduce you to a new possibility, a new belief, a new strategy that completely reshapes how you approach your goals. They challenge the limits you accepted. They question the excuses you've been living with. They offer clarity at moments when your mind is clouded with doubt. One conversation, one insight, one push from the right person can become the catalyst for a massive breakthrough. The right person can elevate your thinking simply by how they live. Just by watching their habits, their discipline, their courage, you begin to understand what it actually takes to break through your own barriers. They show you what consistency looks like. They show you what patience looks like. They show you what patience looks like. They show you what commitment looks like. Their example becomes a silent teacher, something you model without even trying. And sometimes they offer the belief that you're missing, the belief that becomes the fuel for your next step. When someone you respect believes in you, it strengthens the belief you hold in yourself. Even emotionally, the right person can shift everything. They can bring stability when you feel overwhelmed, confidence when you feel uncertain, and perspective when you feel stuck. They remind you of your strengths when you're focused on your weaknesses. They speak to the future version of you when you're still caught in your past. Their presence brings clarity, energy, and direction, all things that influence your decisions and actions. One person can make you think bigger, act bolder, and move faster simply by aligning with your potential instead of your fears. Your circle is the invisible force shaping the quality of your daily decisions. If you surround yourself with people who avoid responsibility, settle for comfort, or constantly complain, it becomes almost impossible to reach your highest potential. Not because you lack ability, but because your environment keeps you anchored to old patterns. When the people around you don't challenge you, you stop challenging yourself. You begin to normalize mediocrity simply because it's what you see every day. Upgrading your circle is not about abandoning people. It's about choosing to place yourself in spaces that reflect the future you want, not the past you've outgrown. The moment you step into a circle where excellence is expected, your standards automatically rise. When you're around people who wake up early, work on themselves, pursue goals, and hold themselves accountable, you start to feel a pull toward that same level of performance. You can no longer justify excuses because no one else is living by them. Their discipline becomes a mirror for your lack of it. Their ambition exposes the areas where you've been playing small. Their hunger challenges you to take ownership of your life at a deeper level. Being around people who are striving forces you to expand because the energy of growth is contagious. An upgraded circle offers something more valuable than motivation. It offers alignment. These are people who speak the language of possibility, who think in terms of solutions, who support your vision instead of downplaying it. They push you when you hesitate and celebrate you when you progress. They see your potential before your results show it. And most importantly, they hold you accountable to the standard you claim you want to live by. When the people around you want to see you win, your belief grows. When they model the habits you need, your actions shift. Changing your circle changes the environment that shapes your future, and your future changes the moment that environment changes. When you look at your life years from now, you'll realize it wasn't luck, talent, or timing that shaped your destiny. It was the people you chose to walk beside. You were never meant to build a powerful life alone. You rise faster, think bigger, and go further when you're surrounded by those who refuse to let you settle for anything less than the life you're capable of living. Choose the circle that stretches you. Choose the people who ignite something inside you. Choose the environments that demand your growth, because once you position yourself around the right minds, the right energy, and the right standards, everything in your life begins to align with a greater version of you. Proximity is more than power, it's direction. And when you get around the right people, your future stops being a wish and starts becoming your reality.